Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Wednesday, the 28th day of October. Here we go. We have been doing the laws of Makeh B'Patish, which means that on Shabbos or Yontif, you're not supposed to give the final touch to an item and complete it. And we gave you many examples of that. Now, I want to extend that, and the rabbis tell us that because of that, you also shouldn't play musical instruments on Shabbos. And that's because people who play musical instruments can tend to end up doing a little repair here and there while they're playing, and that would fit into the category of Makeh B'Patish, of finalizing the little tweak on that guitar or something that needed to be done. And therefore the rabbi said no playing with musical instruments on Shabbos. That leads to other things, like, for example, not using the knocker on a door, because that's something that's also made to, it's not musical, but it's made to create sound, and the rabbis extended their prohibition to things like that. So basically, we try not to use things that accentuate sound, like bang on a drum or things like that, on Shabbos. Now this leads to another law which might look very confusing to you, and it is the law about clapping with your singing or drumming on a table with your singing on Shabbos. It looks like the rabbis basically said that you're not allowed to do that either, that you shouldn't clap and dance on Shabbos, and you also shouldn't drum on a table, drum on a drum, or anything that's made to be rhythmic along with the music, and that's prohibited on Shabbos. And you probably know that you will see a lot of people who are quite observant who are clapping on Shabbos, and you might wonder what's up with that. Well, there are differing opinions on that. The general rule is that yes, we try not to play drums or musical instruments or do clapping or drumming or anything like that on Shabbos, and yet people do, and here's why. Some rabbis say, I should tell you that the most prominent amongst us who strongly permits it is the Aruch HaShulchan, and he is of the opinion that the clapping that we do and the drumming that we would do on a table today, and even our dancing, is not the kind of stuff that the rabbis ever had prohibited. You see, what the rabbis, says the Aruch HaShulchan, had prohibited was the clapping that went along with musical instruments and accompaniment. So there'd be like a whole choir going with musical instruments and clapping, and that whole setting would lead to people being involved with musical instruments and thereby coming to repair the musical instruments, and that's why the rabbis were against it. But the Aruch HaShulchan says that the clapping that you see people doing today when they're singing a Shabbos song is not in that category at all. It's not arranged to be with any musical accompaniment. It's not meant to accompany anything musical at all. And therefore this thing about a fear that it's going to lead to repairing an instrument is not all that common. And he says, therefore, that the normal kind of clapping that you would see an observant person do while, like, listening to Lecha Dodi in Shul or something like that, according to the Aruch HaShulchan, is totally permitted, and not prohibited, and that's because it's not under the category of what the rabbis were prohibiting way back when. They were prohibiting clapping that accompanied musical instruments. Also, there are some other rabbis that say that the clapping that they used to say that you shouldn't be doing, well, that was in a time when they feared that everybody repairs musical instruments, so anybody clapping, anybody doing anything is going to end up repairing a musical instrument. And today, it's quite different. Only the repair shops repair the musical instruments, and regular, ordinary people like me and you never find ourselves repairing musical instruments, and that's another reason why some people are lenient. So I'm not saying it's totally okay. There are still rabbis that say not to clap and dance on Shabbos, but there are also rabbis that say that it is okay. So if you were confused by this, it's because prominent rabbis on each side of this, some are saying that it's okay and some are saying that it's not okay. So don't be confused when you see very observant people clapping their hands and drumming a little bit on a table on Shabbos, because there are prominent rabbis that allow it. What should you do? You should speak to your rabbi about it. I always say that. Thanks for logging on, and log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.